Happy
Hi.
Monday.
Happy Monday, everyone.
Oh,
And here we are. So,
that is exactly the sentiment we have right now. And here we
yes, we are. Okay, so it's Monday. Monday after Mother's Day. Amanda, what did you guys do for Mother's Day?
low key, so low key. So we had tacos for Mother's Day because tacos are like one of my love languages. And I mean, it was just so low key. We spent the day at home. I got some gifts, but it was just low key. What about you guys?
Um, Same, very low key. Um, we worked in the yard. My husband built a rock bed around our mailbox, and he cleaned off the patio and made the patio all pretty. And then the kids got me a new coffee mug,
Oh,
and my son came over and made lasagna for dinner.
okay.
So I didn't have to cook, and it was lovely.
I'm really jealous about that lasagna. That's all I'm
Yeah,
gonna say.
I
So
did
jealous.
put pictures up. I put pictures up on my LinkedIn and my Facebook about it because it was actually really great. He kicked me out of the kitchen. I kept trying to help, but he wouldn't let me. So that was that. And it was a nice day, and now we're back to the grind. So
Back
uh,
to the grind.
back to the grind. So
It's the
I'm
perfect
excited
lead
to
into today.
I know. I'm excited about today. I think this is going to be, okay, this is going to be a good conversation, but for me, it has the potential to go in all kinds of different directions. So
Same.
I may need to be corralled. Just saying.
Never.
So, okay. Well, we'll let Alex corral us. Maybe he can make
Good luck,
heads or
Alex.
tails out of us. I know. Okay. All right. Let's see. Let's run the credits and get him out here.
Let's go.
Okay, here we are. It is episode, is this episode
Cooking time.
15?
I think so.
Yes, 15 of the Down Home Texas Small Business Show. And I am Tammy Fisher, and I am an enrolled agent in Central Texas. And this is my friend.
And partner in crime, Amanda Adams, and I'm a CPA in West Texas. So I'm out further. I think we're like 4 hours apart. I think 4.5 hours apart,
We're 4
somewhere like
hours
that.
apart. That's right.
Yeah.
And today we're going to talk about being productive, which is something I struggle with every single day. Every day. So let's bring out our special guest. Welcome, Alex Little.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I always love being on podcasts and just talking about what I'm doing in my firm.
Well, you're going to be a good one about this subject. So, and you're a fun guy.
Thanks, you.
He's like, I don't know how to respond to that.
He's like, well, I guess I am. I don't know. Okay.
Well,
So
I find me entertaining, so.
I find you very entertaining. So
Thank you.
When you're around. So you haven't been around lately, but when you're around, you're very entertaining. So tell us just a little bit about yourself and about what you do in your company, and give us a little bit of background.
Okay. So I'm Alex Little with Little CFO Services. Yes, I'm that original. I use my last name as my business name, but it flows, I think. But I own and run a fractional CFO accounting and tax business. Basically, we work with small business owners that are making money but feel broke, better understand what they make, spend, and keep. That is just the kind of number one thing that clients come to us with problems that they're, I made 2 million in annual revenue this year compared to last year of $1 million, but I still have the same amount of money in my bank account. Where's all my money going? Is one of the most common problems that we solve for clients. I started my career as an accountant. I tell people I'm a recovering accountant because most of my career was in accounting. I did my master's in it, and I was too nerdy to just only do accounting. I wanted to do a double emphasis in audit and information systems because I'm a information systems geek as well, technology geek. But I kind of got bored with accounting, so I switched to finance and operations, worked my way up to CFO. Anyways, I found that most of the clients that I worked with or prospects when I started my CFO business, they thought their bookkeeper was amazing, and I take a look at their books, and it's just a dumpster fire. So I can't do any type of strategic planning or advice or any type of thing like that, without good books. So I started the accounting and tax side of my business, and we focus on the construction, real estate, and home services industries, and we just try to help people understand what their business is doing and all the numbers.
That's pretty cool. And we have that. The three of us have a lot of that in common: construction industry, and then you and I, home services that we're working with. So we have that in common. And the whole, what the hell are these bookkeepers doing? Let me tell you, I've got my hands on one right now, which Amanda and I were just talking about it before we came on. I've got over $175,000 in undeposited funds. All of the accounts are negative. Nothing's been reconciled since before 2022. And yet the previous bookkeeper and tax preparer filed returns for all those years. I don't know.
I'm going to guess the tax preparer probably was just like, you know what? This is what they gave me. I'm just going to go off of what they gave me. This is your fault.
It's the same lady. The bookkeeper and the tax preparer are the same lady.
Okay, well, I can't really come up with an excuse for that one. But
even if you do that, how dangerous? Like, that is actually don't do that, guys. Okay, but that's not what
anyway,
productivity.
Yeah.
See, this is what happens to our brains, guys. Productivity. It goes out the window. I squirrel. I don't know what you guys call it, but I squirrel.
Squirrel. So, okay, let me ask you this, Alex. Are you a solo? Do you work by yourself, or do you have a team?
I have a team. So I'm the only employee, but I have contractors, people that I've worked with in the past, people that I've met, kind of just all over the place.
Okay, that's cool.
I guess I should also mention I'm a virtual only firm, so I work with anyone across the country. Like, I have a few different clients here in Texas. I'm here in Florida.
Okay, all right. So let's dig right into it. How we keep ourselves on track, productive throughout the day. Because I don't know about you guys, but every day I sit down and it's a real struggle because there's distractions everywhere. So how do you start your day? How do you start your day, and what do you lean on probably the most to keep yourself on track?
Yeah. Right now I'm working with an old business partner of mine who's in Utah, and he's only available from 6 to 8 Mountain Standard Time. So instead of me doing my normal email and admin work hour, I had to move that back to starting at 10 o'clock so I can meet with him from 9 to 10, because we're basically recording my answers to a bunch of questions, basically to get all my knowledge down to a transcript to pull AI stuff off of. Anyways, I use my calendar. That plus my task list that I have in Canopy. Those are the things that really dictate my life.
Okay.
I worked with a business owner, business coach before, who really just kind of pounded into me the whole put it in your calendar. Email and admin time seems like, oh, well, I do that all the time anyways. Well, but actually putting in your calendar, blocking off time that this is exclusively what I'm doing. This is intentional about it. That it makes me be more organized and actually do the things instead of jumping on to like whatever the next highest priority task I think, that comes up via email or whatnot. But that task list and Canopy and my calendar run my life.
Okay.
What about you?
I tend to start out my day the same. I have blocked out. I don't start. Okay. I don't start any actual work until 9 a.m.
Mhm.
because the hour between my kids leave for school and 9 a.m. is just for me. So that's my
You
Zen
time.
time. It's my me time. It's because, I'm completely solo. I don't have anybody on my team yet, although I will soon. But that's just kind of my time to get myself together and kind of figure out where I'm going to be and what I'm going to be doing for the day. But past that, you're right about the calendar. I live by my calendar. I have to. And if it isn't on the calendar, it's not on my mind. It's not going to get done. So I block out everything from my kids' stuff, my work stuff, personal stuff. Everything goes on one big calendar, and it's color coded for me. And then also what I do is block out. I will block out days where I don't have meetings. Like I'll go in at the beginning of every month and I'll pick particular days for the month and just say, I'm not going to take meetings on these days. These are just going to be work at my desk days.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll have so many per month because I know things are going to stack up and I know I'm going to need those days to be uninterrupted, so.
Yeah, and I had to do that because I ended up going to so many marketing events and just conferences and sales meetings, stuff like that. That I was finding that I was staying up to like 2 o'clock in the morning doing client work. And I was like, all right, because I use Calendly and I was just giving my Calendly link out to everyone, and it was like Monday through Friday, like I think I had it set for like 10 to 4 Eastern Standard Time is like my times available. But even with that, like I was just getting overrun. So I had to make it to where Tuesdays and Thursdays are my like client work days. I still will have meetings those days, but that's more for like meetings with a client. And then occasionally it's like a meeting for like something for my firm. So either demo for technology or meeting with employees or something like that. But Monday, Wednesday, Friday are like my networking and like sales meetings.
Right. What about you, Amanda?
Okay, so I second the calendar, third the calendar. Like I think everybody loves the calendar. But I triage my work every day. So I treat it like it's an ER. So as things are coming in, I joke a lot that I'm not a firefighter. So I don't do a lot of emergency work, but there are things that are more important than another as a CFO. And so there's some things that I just have to push up the list that didn't appear last week or at the end of yesterday, even on that list. So I triage all the time. I'm constantly moving my priorities. That's one of the main things that I do. That never, ever comes before my family or the obligations that can't be moved. But I am always triaging, always.
That's cool. That's a good idea. One of the calendar, I want to mention a calendar app that I've been using. It's called Motion. Have y'all heard of that one?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I started using that one earlier in the year. What I like about it is it takes my Google Calendar and it takes my Google Task List and it combines the two. So, if you create tasks in Motion or in Google, and you get to say, oh, I've got to work on XYZ tax returns, and I think it's going to take me 8 hours, and my deadline is X date, and you input that into the Motion calendar, it will put that task on your calendar in work blocks. And I love that, because it's like having someone tell me what to work on when, in order to meet those deadlines, so that I don't have decision paralysis. I can put what it is, I can give it a deadline, and then let Motion tell me when to work on what. And that was really helpful to me during tax season, as different people were signing on for their returns, and different returns needed to be done and all that. Yeah, that was super, super helpful. I've kind of gotten away from using it a little bit in the past several weeks, but I need to go back.
What like hiccups did you run into like using it?
The one that I ran into was that it will go ahead and let people schedule meetings during those task blocks. So if someone reached out through my website and scheduled a consultation, it wouldn't block that specific work time off as no meetings.
A conflict. Yep.
You would think that would be something you could set as a setting.
I think that there probably is a way to do that. I just haven't delved into it enough to be able to figure that out. That's
because I know like on Google Calendar, like when you set events and stuff like that, you can mark it as busy or not busy.
And I think you can do the same thing. I haven't played with it enough to figure it out. And it's just another one of those things. Oh, I'm going to sit here and figure this out today. And then I'll see a bright, shiny object and I'll move over into something else.
Or you get a call from a client and be like, okay.
Or I'll get a call from a client and then I'm off and running. So, but I really do like the Motion calendar, and it's actually pretty cool. So it's worth trying out. I think you get a free trial, so it's worth trying out.
Yeah, I had heard of one called, I think it's like Uku or something like that, but I think it's an actual like whole project management software. It just has a really big emphasis on their task lists and like calendar scheduling, because just like you explained, it takes your work and basically figures out what it thinks is the best order to do things and when. And then I guess the unique selling point for that one is that you can also see when you have a team, like what your team plans on working on that week. So if they are out for an emergency or something like that, you can see on what they had planned on working on that day, so they can have someone else cover it if they need be and whatnot. But then as soon as I heard it was a project management software, I was like, all right, well, I already chosen my project management software, so it's not going to work. I just need like an add-on or a plug-in type of deal.
For your email, do you? I use Outlook, so I think a lot of people do. But do you do anything with your email to like keep it specifically organized, or?
Amanda, how would you take that one since you're
She's nodding.
Amanda is a crazy person. I like the zero sum inbox, so I like to have a zero inbox, but I do not move it out of my inbox until it is complete. I know that it's not exactly what the zero inbox is for. And that's not exactly how that works, but it seems to work better for me that way, because if it's out of sight, out of mind for me, so if it's not in my inbox, it is gone. But I have generalized things in my folders in my inbox. So if I'm working on, say, one client's AP stuff, I have an AP folder, and everything goes in there, from receipts to bills, this to that, and it's all in one folder should I ever need to go and track something down. If we're talking about why something didn't get paid, it's going in that folder, just so that it's all in one place. I used to be a little bit crazier, and I even had subfolders for that, by vendor, but that gets outrageous sometimes. And so I stopped doing that. It's easy enough to search in one folder. Um, so I have
So
that for
one quick question.
yeah.
Do you have like a folder for each client and then like an AP folder, subfolder under each client?
So I have email addresses for clients. So
Mhm.
all of their stuff goes to an email address. So it would be Amanda at whatever their email address ending is. And so it doesn't go to like my personal or my business. It goes into theirs. That way they always have access to it, even if I don't work with them anymore.
Mhm. Yeah, I do that for clients. We set up an accounting email, so it's very
Yep.
generic, so you
Yep.
can hand it off to anyone.
Yep, I have some of those. Some of them, they're like, well, we want you to have, we don't, uh, I need the force behind the title sometimes. And they're like, well, an accounting email doesn't do that. And so I'm like, okay. But yes, I like the processes. We have sales at, info at. That's one of the best things for companies that I
Mhm.
think where you can forward stuff like that. Um, Dude, just have it to a very generic email.
Yeah, I haven't like this has been something I've been struggling with is trying to figure out like what the best process is. Um, I'm not sure I exactly like really love how emails and communication is set up through Canopy, my firm management software, because like us sending up an accounting at whatever like the client email, then it's like okay, well, do you have 50 tabs of Gmail open for each one for each client so that you see when the email comes through, or do you have all those accounting emails forwarding to like one support or accounting or bookkeeping or something at your firm? Like how do you keep
Yeah.
track of like the emails that come in for each one of your clients if you have
Okay, hold
clients?
on. I'm going to answer this, and this will be good for people. I know you guys may not be accounting firm owners, but this will be good for people who have multiple companies. So I used Chrome and I set up profiles for each one of them. So by company, you set up a Chrome profile and you tell it what tabs to open when you set it up. And so when you're working on that client, you open that client's Chrome. Or when you're working, if you're a business owner, when you're working on that part of your business, you open that business's Chrome profile, and everything you need is already right there and bookmarked for you.
Yeah, and
No.
I've built that for myself for clients.
Yep.
Just uh, for me, I still haven't figured out like the best way to do all that because like unless you open that every single day, like you need some way to stay on top of all the communication. When you have like 40, 50 clients, like 40, 50 Chrome profiles gets a little bit ridiculous.
So I don't work with that many people. And I intentionally set it up that way for kind of what you're talking about. And the more hands-on you want to be, or that I wanted to be, it just wasn't doable to do it that way.
Yeah, I haven't figured it out yet. It's one thing that I've actually been working with an IT consultant trying to figure out my entire IT setup for because a lot of my consultants are overseas, so trying to figure out like the best way to separate VPNs and like the password sharing and stuff like that. And that's relevant to just regular business owners that are working
Yeah.
in a virtual environment. Is like even if you're in the same city and you have employees, working from home, how do you make
Yep.
secure and password sharing? Because I had been using LastPass, and then until I met with him, I didn't really know that like LastPass has been hacked a bunch of times, and maybe that's not the most secure.
One password.
Um,
So that's exactly what this is us coming together. I mean, I know we're kind of treading off into accounting world, so I want to be cautious to not do that too much. Because this really is vital information for lots of business owners. So we're going to veer back a little from accounting, but Alex, that is a great conversation and one I know that our Slack channel will be very gracious to help out with. But what are So if y'all can't tell, I'm not walking today, but under my desk I have a cycling machine. So
Are you
if you see
cycling?
me, I'm cycling. Um, so it's
Okay.
one of the things that keeps me
So crazy.
productive. So I'm cycling, and if you see me like bending down, I'm changing the settings and stuff because the stupid remote is not working, but whatever. So that's one of the things that I do to keep me productive. I have to be moving, and this allows me to stay moving. So, like,
Okay.
what do you guys do in terms of that? Sitting at a desk is not for everybody. What do y'all do? Tammy?
I'm sitting at my desk and I have this really nice cushiony ottoman under here for a footrest. And
Not a cycle machine.
this is how I work. I sit here with my feet up.
But do you make it an important thing for you to get up and move so often? Does your watch tell you? See, my watch tells me you've been sitting way too
It
long.
depends. It depends. I mean, it depends. There are days when I sit down here and I don't look up until I have a pounding headache and I realize I haven't eaten all day. It just
That's
because
not
I'm
productive.
just. It's not. Maybe it's not, but that's just what it is. And then there are some days where I'll work for a little bit and I'll get up and I'll go get some water and have a snack and then I'll come back and sit back down. I don't know. I'm all over the place. It just depends on what it is that I'm working on.
Alex, what about you?
I actually went through the investment of buying a treadmill desk, and I'm usually when I'm on meetings stuff like that, I try to walk on my treadmill. My goal was to get 10,000 steps a day in addition to like my 3 actual workout days. But I thought it was going to be cool and like switch to a 3 monitor setup, but because of everything how it kind of works, the cords aren't long enough for like the 3rd monitor to work. Where I need to raise the desk and use the treadmill at the same time. So I've literally had like this 3rd monitor on my left here that's just not even plugged in. I've had here for like months now. That tomorrow is going to be the day that I switch it out back to the 2 monitor setup so I can get back to that treadmill.
Did you put it on your calendar?
No, I haven't done.
Okay, so tomorrow
That's why I haven't
not the
done.
day.
But yeah, no, like I found like that's really helpful. Like it's not great if you're trying to actually use your mouse because I'm like leaning on my desk trying to like click the button and I have to click 4 times to hit whatever I'm trying to click on. But if you're meeting and you're just talking like this is like a perfect time to be just walking at like a steady pace. You don't notice it, so like for people like me that like hate cardio and like walking and stuff like that, like if you're doing something else and you're talking, as long as you're not like have it the speed so high or you're out of breath while you're trying to talk, then like it gets you through like so many steps and you don't even notice that you've gone through like 8,000 steps in the last few hours while you've just been meeting with people and talking so much.
Right.
Okay, so Alex, what is your one go-to? It can't be your calendar or a task app. What is your one go-to app other than those 2 things that you just cannot live without in your business or your life? It doesn't even have to be business.
Okay, not a task list, not calendar. I mean, I'm kind of like you to where my email, like I try to keep the like unread and important section as like on my to-do list or things I want to read.
It can't be a to-do list. You got to pick something else.
Yeah. Okay. For accounting work, it's Keeper. That's month-end close stuff, which I think is super helpful. Obviously, not really relevant to regular.
Okay, but even if it's not relevant to somebody else, what it does might be relevant to somebody else. So tell us what it is. What is Keeper?
Keeper is basically accounting month-end close like support software. It keeps like all the to-dos as like these are all the steps that you need to do in order to close the books for accounting for a client, and you have however many clients that you want. And it really helps not only keep track that you can see all of your clients and like what stage they're at in with the business with the close, but also there's specific reports they can pull. You can make all your changes. Like if they connect them to QuickBooks, you can make the changes from within Keeper. But for me, it improves the efficiency because like you have a list of this is the steps instead of just keeping in your mind, oh, I need to do bank recs, oh, I need to do this and that. Like I use it for my own firm just because it's so helpful. And it's very cheap. But the one thing that came to mind to actually answer your question would be Claude. It's basically like a rival to ChatGPT, but currently, last time I checked, it's a lot better than ChatGPT at the current moment, as far as like its ability to critical think and come up with good content, write well, and stuff like that. So that's been really, I'm trying not to get on the whole AI phase, like trend, but like the amount of things that it can help you with is very helpful. I don't want to go down the whole trend thing, but like there's a reason why it's a trend. Like it's actually super helpful.
I love AI. I love it. So actually, ChatGPT is something that I use all the time. I'm a pretty direct person, and sometimes that is not received well. So I very much use ChatGPT. Hey, say this in a different way so that it isn't as direct. I have it reword so many things just because I know that people don't always hear my tone, my intended tone. And so I'm very much aware of that. And that's something I use to help a lot. So I love AI and ChatGPT. I can't wait to try out Claude, by the way. I've never heard of that.
Yeah, I hadn't heard of it until Jason Stacks had mentioned it on one of his podcasts. But it's funny that you mentioned like the whole tone thing, because I actually just saw an article on LinkedIn. I think it was yesterday or the day before. One of the trending topics or articles, whatever, talking about how much AI is being used for those things, those uncomfortable conversations, either asking for a raise or dealing with any type of problem in the workplace, or with a partner, a romantic partner, like just those troublesome or like uneasy, controversial, whatever, like conversations. AI can help both navigate it in like a better way, but also if you're going to make an argument for like your raise or something, it helps you like better hone in your argument for why you should get a raise, and maybe point out like weaknesses in your argument of like counterpoints that the other person might point out, and then you'll be like, okay, well, I didn't think of that, and help you prepare the whole conversation before it ever happens.
Yep. So important. Okay, Tammy, what's your favorite app or the one must have?
Probably my Google Workspace. Because my Google Drive is everything.
Yep.
Everything is in there. And it's I've got templates in there. I've got all kinds of just notes and just data, and I mean nothing. What am I saying? It's
Nobody try to go steal her Google Drive. It's not.
Please don't steal my Google Drive. It's not like secure stuff. I mean, that client secure stuff stays in Canopy or inside my tax software or whatever. But my Google Drive is like my stuff, and it's just where it all lives, and it's easy to get to. And
it's funny that you say your Google Workspace, because you mentioned that you use Outlook, didn't you?
I do, but it's connected to my Google Workspace.
But some people like go all Microsoft or all.
And
Google.
The reason I do it though is because I like the Outlook interface.
See, I'm the opposite. I hate Outlook interface. I also hate Teams and the way it looks. But talking to that same IT guy I was referring to before, us doing stuff with international and very virtual network that I'd be building for my firm. Getting all into Microsoft products because of their kind of the name and that type of virtual workspaces like that, it's got me reconsidering if I want to use Outlook or use OneDrive and stuff like that. Because right now I'm a Google Workspace person, and then I use Excel on my own and stuff like that. So I'm kind of all over the place.
Yeah, that's what I do.
Microsoft. So SharePoint and OneDrive and those things, it just is seamless.
You use
I love it
see,
so
I
much.
don't like OneDrive for some reason. I don't know. Probably because I keep forgetting my password. Every time I go to do something, it's telling me to put in my OneDrive password. And
I
Google
can't
is just so
imagine
much
that being a
easier.
problem.
So, I don't know. But
I think my reason is like, one, how it looks like from a visual standpoint, but then two, like, back when this really came up as a decision I had to make, Excel and Microsoft products wasn't like super good at being able to work in it collaboratively at the same time. That was Google's Google Sheets. That was king, and I think that's kind of when they won that battle. And I've heard Microsoft's gotten way better at collaborative type of stuff. I haven't looked at it since then. I just assumed back in my head, oh yeah, you can't really work in a Excel document at the same time, with someone else. And I know that's not true anymore, but I just never really looked into it since then.
Yeah. I don't know.
It's all changing.
We're picky about the way we work. So, so for video, you said you don't like Teams. I'm not a huge fan of Teams. What about, do you prefer Zoom or Google Meet?
Zoom just has way more functionality and support for other apps, stuff like that. Google Meet, I think it's just, I'm sure there's features and stuff they've added that I just haven't paid attention to, but it seems too basic. Like, there's a lot of other things you can do with Zoom. I think Zoom is like the biggest standard, as far as video calls go. Same thing with Calendly. I know that we touched on that for a second, but like Calendly is how I do all my scheduling. I had a friend that uses like everything Google, and she tried to convince me like that Google has a scheduler in Calendar, but like when I looked into it, it didn't have the robustness and able to require answers to specific questions and things like that, like Zoom and like Calendly does. Yeah.
That's correct.
Okay. I'm going to be controversial for a second. Well, just a little controversial.
Oh, no.
Okay.
How are you guys with like your writing utensils? Like, I feel like people are either so strict on what they want, or they just do not care and will use anything and everything.
No, I'm very particular.
What's a writing utensil? I know, I'm being sarcastic. I literally, I don't think I've written anything for my business in over a year.
So then how do you chew on it when you're thinking? Like, I just watched Jimmy
What do you chew on when you're thinking?
I mean, how do you make decisions? No,
I have a deck of cards. I used to have a fidget spinner here.
Dartboard.
I think I've really pushed myself into that, because I used to be the one that like to write notes and stuff like that, but because I'm trying to build intentionally a virtual firm, I want to be able to work on my workspace and on my laptop, or if I'm out and about, I don't want to be like, oh, well, yeah, let me go look at my notes, my notepad that I left at home. I want to be able to pull up my phone and either
hold on,
in Google Drive or in OneDrive or whatever, be able to pull up. When you're out and about, you're always gonna have your phone on you.
No, your Rocket Book, it does it for you. It takes handwritten notes and it types it for you.
See my beautiful notebook.
You just go everywhere with that. You're like at the grocery store, being like, you know what? I had that one question. I have a client that called me, and I'm like, all right, let me go pull out my handy dandy.
There's an app. No, you can. No excuses. No excuses. The Rocket Book. Okay, so this is really for. I guess I did get controversial, guys. So this is really for the people who need to like write it for it to stick. Like there are people who can read and it sticks. This is for those people who really need to write it to remember it. But it's an erasable book, and you can take a picture and it will upload to OneDrive, to your email, to wherever you want. It can either do your handwritten notes or it will type it for you.
So that's always a question I've always had, like the whole, like if you need to write it to be able to remember it, does typing it, is that the same idea or is that a different idea?
No, it uses different parts of your brain.
Yeah, it's not the same.
It is not the same. Now, my brain isn't that way, so I can do either. But for the people who it is big for them, no.
Interesting. I'm a very visual learner. Like if I try and think about something or like just listen to it, I need to visualize it, like write it down. By write it down, I mean onto an Excel sheet. Yeah, but type it down onto an Excel sheet. My Excel sheet is like my note keeper and everything for me.
Yeah.
But I'm just one of those accounting nerds that does that.
So I saw earlier, 12 minutes ago or something, somebody said something about OneNote. I am a huge OneNote fanatic. I love OneNote. Love it, love it, love it. So anyway, okay, let's see. What else do we have? I know all three of us use Slack. We're all in Slack groups. I get overwhelmed very easily with Slack, so I have to step away from that one a lot.
Do you use any Slack or messaging groups like that with your clients?
Mm-mm.
I don't.
I started to, and I need to get back to it because I made the mistake of texting or something clients, and now they just text me instead of using the Slack. But as I redesign my business again, just having a Slack channel for each client, and then having whatever bookkeeper or tax professional on my team that's assigned to that client being in that channel. I think that's just the way to go. Yeah. And I had this long conversation of Slack versus Teams with the IT guy. Just trying to figure out, like, does it work? Because I've gotten used to Slack. I've used it back when I was an employee, and I use it with my business. I know a lot of business owners that use Slack exclusively. I'm not sure when Slack just became like the messaging app for businesses and stuff like that, but like it seems like everyone I run into pretty much uses Slack. No? Oh, maybe it's just me.
I do think it's big on people who are investing in technology. I will say, I think it is huge for people who are, I don't want to say up with the times. I do think it is big in those kind of circles, but I don't think that everybody is in that circle. And I definitely have a lot of people who are not in that circle.
I do too. I don't know.
So what do you use instead then? Is the question.
Email, text.
Email. Okay, so I personally am a little bit weird about texting and even calling. If I walk away from their company, they may or may not have a record of the things that I've done, and that bothers me a little bit. So if I'm acting on their behalf in any sort of capacity, I want them to have a record of it. So some of them have like Ring Central, which is a calling and texting app, and it records
everything.
They would have record of that, and I'm fine doing it in that capacity. But like my personal cell phone, nope.
No, and I've learned that time and time again from past employers and my friends. I have a friend that was the CEO of one company, and that company went out of business, and like he used his personal phone as his business phone, and he's still getting calls about the company and stuff like that. And it's like, dude, that was 2 years ago. Like, why are you still contacting him? And it's like, okay, well, what do? Do you just change your personal number that you've had for 15 years? So I use OneNote. I've heard a lot of good things I've had some struggle with their app. It glitches a lot of time on my desktop for some reason. But Open Phone has been what I've heard a lot of business owners using as a virtual phone. And if you have a team, you can have calls specifically forward to certain numbers or certain people whenever you're busy. It records all the conversations. There's a transcript. It's been super helpful for my firm.
Okay, now I didn't want to niche down too quickly, but all of us work with construction owners. So, construction, real estate, and you guys say home services. So, are there any apps or websites that you would just say, this is one you need to be checking out for that audience?
Builder Trend.
Oh no, we are so over builder trend over here.
I like it. I mean, I've gotten so deep into it that I found some areas where it doesn't work as well, especially with like the tech stack that I build for my clients. But for the most part, if they use it correctly and they actually like embrace it, it does almost everything that a construction operations business, the operations department in a construction business needs to do within the actual software. Like there's hardly any time that you have to actually do anything outside of Builder Trend. But like what do you use or do you suggest instead of it?
I'm going to shout out the CEO, Eric Fortenberry of JobTread. So I was privileged to go to their office a week before last, so about a week and a half ago, and meet their team and do a mini training. And I am all in on JobTread. So it is new and up and coming. They are a few years old, and they're just doing an amazing job of listening to what their customers want and making those adjustments. So it doesn't have all the functionality of things that have been around longer, but they are definitely listening and making those adjustments. And I just love it.
So what would you say is like what does it do that's better than Builder Trend?
Honestly, I think it's just the interfacing is a lot of it. It's just a easier, and I deal with people who aren't the greatest at software a lot of times, and so it's just easier to navigate. It's more common sense. And coming from an accounting standpoint, I think you can appreciate this. I don't know how many firms you've worked for. They all sort of do the same things, but some of them make it easier than others. I think this is just one of those where the easiness of it, the ease of use makes it so much better.
Mm-hmm.
And their trainings, their live trainings, they do like live trainings every single day of the week, where you can hop in and ask questions. So I think their service is like unmatched. No, I'm not sponsored. No, I'm not married to or any way affiliated with JobTread. I just want to make that clear, but it is, it was a great experience. And I really think they're going to corner this market pretty quickly.
Interesting. Yeah, I'd never heard of them before.
Love them. Okay. Tammy, what are your clients using? What's the one they've got to have?
I've got some home services clients who have recently started using one called House Call Pro. They seem to like that really well, and seems to be working really well.
I've heard them suggested once before. I didn't really look into it too far.
Yeah. I think it's similar to Jobber.
Okay.
I think it's probably a little bit less expensive from what I've seen. But of course, and I'm just seeing the back side of it on the, the accounting side of it and seeing the accounting reports. But, they're able to they're able to do their scheduling and to keep their routes inside it, and they can invoice from inside it. And it looks like it's a really user-friendly interface from what I can tell. And the reports section, I will say this for me, the reports section is not as robust as I would like for it to be, but it's okay. We can get by. So, yeah.
Okay, Alex, that made me think of a question to ask you. When it comes to builder trend, are you looking more at job costing, or are you looking at like the accounting as a whole, or both?
I look at the entire platform. So for me, like I love process improvement and operations. So I lean a lot more into the operations side of things than most finance and accounting professionals, because most of us will usually just stay in our lane of whatever finance touches or whatever just accounting touches, and that's all you look into. But like I love process improvement and operations as a whole. So a lot of my clients, I will help them figure out from an operational standpoint, like if software makes sense both on the operations side and the accounting side. For instance, I have a client that is a pool maintenance and construction client, and he uses Skimmer, which is a pool maintenance like specific industry specific software, and they just rolled out like their invoicing and billing features and stuff like that. And I did a demo looking into it, and it may make sense more from an operational standpoint, but from a financial standpoint, I already have them on like one of my highly suggested like invoicing and collection and payment processor type of deal. And their software, the way they have it set up, it just they make it to where like you have to use their payment processing, and there's not really it's like an all or nothing type of thing with their software. So like, yeah, it would increase like the operational efficiency, but it would take away so much money and efficiency on the like invoicing and billing system and stuff like that and payment processor. That I was like, all right, well, like here's your feedback on the entire platform type of deal. But yeah, I look at it from all points of view just because I'm that nerdy. So.
Oh no, I don't think that's nerdy. I think that makes you a good CFO. I think oftentimes, I'm just going to shout this out because sometimes I scream it in my pillow at night, but we focus so much on just our area that we forget that it is more than just our area, and we have to be willing to reach across the aisle and work with everybody. So I love that you said that, actually. I'm just going to say that. I love it.
Well, thank you. Yeah. And like, that's one of the areas where I talk about in my marketing material and stuff, like why my firm is a little bit different is because like I have a lot of experience in like having side businesses and serial entrepreneur. And like, I'm not just a fractional CFO that only stays in the finance lane. Like, because I know so much about the operations and the other areas of business, I realize a blind spot that a lot of finance professionals have, which is making suggestions and recommendations that may look good on paper from a number standpoint, but from like an operational, like either realistic or efficiency standpoint, like it just doesn't make sense. Like those number crunchers say we should do this because it has the best ROI or something, but like in reality, to the actual people doing the work, it's like this doesn't make any sense, and that's one blind spot I see a lot of people have making suggestions that just like if you were a construction person, you would know that that's not how that really works. That may sound good in your head, but one of those situations.
Yes. Okay, I love that. And we would be remiss if we did not say something about the elephant in the room being accounting softwares. Please use a freaking accounting software.
But which one?
I think that it's important to really tailor it to what industry you're in. They all mainly, hopefully, do the same thing. I will say some of them, we're going to go back to your comments a little bit earlier about things not being reconciled. Some of them don't even offer reconciliation, and that's a little bit scary. A reconciliation is a double check, guys. It's a
Is
double
that
check.
even accounting software if it doesn't offer reconciliation?
Okay,
Well,
well, it's a free accounting software.
I was talking with someone who I now work with that I'm looking at potentially working with in the extra like the tax planning space and kind of working together on some clients. And she was talking about how clients that she had referred over to a bookkeeper that she knew that she had networked with, she was getting information like financials to create their tax returns, and like the numbers that were on the financial statements weren't matching the previous year's tax returns. She's like, what's going on? Like, I know that they say they reconcile. So well, she called them up, the bookkeeper, and turns out when they said, yeah, we reconcile, what they meant was that they code the transactions in the bank feed, didn't actually do a bank reconciliation. So when they said, yeah, we reconcile the books, they just meant they code the transactions. And I was like, okay, well, I didn't know that we had such different, definitions of what that meant. But like, that's why I've come back to like, we just really have to define what you're talking about, because the most basic terms apparently may not be the same thing to people in your industry.
We could do that tangent for the next 3 hours, Alex.
Probably.
No joke. I have so many stories. We can talk about payroll. I love when people put cash payroll in, because what comes out as net pay must be gross wages.
Obviously, that's how that works.
It's equal every time. They pay no taxes whatsoever at all.
Oh my God.
So, hey guys, I will say I have seen CPAs make that mistake. So don't think that just because they have some letters after their name that they know what they're doing.
I've probably seen more errors from like basic bookkeepers and like CPAs than I have like like average Joe business owners, because a lot of average Joe business owners will actually have the fortitude to be like, I don't know what I'm doing. Either ask for help or Google it and find the right answer. Whereas lots of times you'll get bookkeepers and tax professionals that just assume, yeah, no, this is how this works, right? And then just wild ass guess it, and that's what it is.
Wild ass guess it.
Yeah, wag. It's a wag. I mean, like if you have some type of like actual, I kind of know what I'm doing, then it's a swag, a scientific wild ass guess.
Oh, I love that. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but like, so to answer the question originally though, I recommend to people to use, like if their business isn't big enough, it's kind of like a side gig type of deal. I've used Wave accounting just for like my side businesses, because really with that one, you're really just categorizing transactions and need some basic reports. I use the free version. That's just to have a system that's not Excel. But then as soon as any of the business actually like gains some, heft to it and actually is doing volumes of transactions and making money, then I hate to say it, but QuickBooks Online, I think personally is the best that small business owners have. I absolutely hate Intuit with a passion. Tammy knows the tirades I've gone on with.
I know. We all have.
But like,
But
because I like NetSuite's pretty good, still has some problems. Microsoft D365 has been the best software I've ever used, but that's enterprise wide, and NetSuite is medium size. So like QuickBooks Online is really just like the best, in my opinion, that small business owners got. But I would only use it as the core accounting software. I've found because my firm is built like 90% of like what my ideal client tech stack is. So I've got like a payment processor, accounts receivable software that I use, bill processing, payroll, like a number of different of like the supporting accounting stuff. But for it comes like a core accounting, I would say QuickBooks Online, but I wouldn't use like QuickBooks Payroll or QuickBooks Bill Pay or QuickBooks anything other than QuickBooks Online. I'm just like, can you just not suck at one thing? Like, can you do like the
I
core
get
thing
it.
first and then fix all that, and then maybe do one thing right at a time instead of half everything? But
no, we get it. We get it. So who's your go-to for payroll?
Gusto.
Gusto. Who's your go-to for bill pay?
It's a new company called Makers Hub.
Okay, I haven't heard of that one.
I haven't heard of that.
Yeah, like so they're a much better bill.com. They actually they're like kind of one of their main selling points is the intuitive, like the AI understands like the line items really well. So if you work with construction or ordering a bunch of stuff that has multiple line items, like 40 quantity at X price, like the AI can read all of that. Whereas like bill.com, I kind of feel like the bait and switch, or at least their marketing is kind of BS, to where it's like, oh, it reads the bill for you and puts it, into the system. No, it just reads the header and like the total. It doesn't do line items in bill.com. Whereas like Makers Hub does all the line items for you.
Okay, that makes sense.
But then like if you have a more established client that like wants more insight from their expenses and bills and stuff like that, I would say Glean.ai. It's a little bit more expensive and does like still the line items and stuff, but it gives actual gleans into like your expenses and your bills and that type of spend. So if your clients actually value that type of extra insight into their spend and actually value that, then Glean might be a better,
Yeah.
Those are some new ones. And this is why we have these conversations, so that we get the new stuff that's coming out that maybe we haven't looked at yet.
Yeah. And then like the one I think that actually like saves my clients on average probably like 25, 27 grand in the first month for like the next year or the next year would be alternativepayments.io. That's my invoicing and payment processing software that I send everyone to. Right now, because of how they do their pricing, it doesn't make sense if you're like a general contractor or like in the high dollar value contracting world, because like they price their monthly costs based off of dollar volume and not invoice volume. So for instance, I had a client that they do like 10 invoices a month, but it's like 400 grand. So like they're getting charged like they would get charged like $2,000 a month if they were to use them. But like it's like, okay, well, you can go somewhere else and pay like $10, $15 for an ACH, not $2,000. However, my pool maintenance guy that has like 300, 400 transactions and invoices a month, like they only are paying like $200 because their dollar volume is much lower, even though they have a much higher invoice volume, just because how they price things. But like and I'll do the spill really quick. Alternative payments, their main selling points, you can set up auto pay on a dollar threshold instead of it being has to be $100 every single month. It can be any invoice that goes through the system, because it will pull the invoices directly from QuickBooks Online and you link it as soon as you create the invoice, and it'll send it to the client. And if it's less than whatever dollar threshold you have, so for instance, the pool guy has a $500 threshold, any invoice that's below $500, it'll send the invoice and then auto draft whatever their payment method is on file, and then send them a receipt. Sends them, you can set your all automated dunning system to where it reminds them, 3 days before, 7 days before, whatever you set up for invoice reminders. And then also one thing that I found that no one else has been doing is, buy now, pay later is huge in the B2C world, but there doesn't really exist in the B2B world, where alternative payments will offer it to where you send you do some outsourced like tax work for me. I can send you the invoice for that, or you can send me the invoice for that. I can choose to pay over like 5 months, but you get the payment in full up front. And then alternative payments just takes a little percentage of giving me the ability to pay over 5 months or something like that.
Wow.
So payment terms basically And I haven't seen anyone do that. And then the last thing I would say is the ease of passing on credit card fees, surcharging credit card fees, because QuickBooks makes you like add a line, jump through hoops, because it's not in the QuickBooks' best interest for you to pass on credit card fees. But for alternative payments, you can set a rule, and then you can choose which clients you want that rule to apply to or not. Same thing with the auto draft type of deal is like you can make it to where, okay, we'll pass on credit card fees or have anything under $500 for all these clients, but for this specific client, they're a little special, we'll turn it off for them. You can pick and choose that stuff.
That's interesting.
That's really cool. Wow.
It's been stuff I've been asking for like 15 years, and it took them to do it because no one. It's not in like credit card providers, processors like best interest to do that. So no one's like, well, we're just not going to offer that. And that's been the first people to do it. I've seen.
Cool. All right. So, okay. So today it seems like now more than ever, there's tons of options available for any business owner in any industry to be able to do all kinds of things, from calendar apps, meeting apps, bookkeeping apps, all kinds of stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So tell people again, Alex, how to find you if they have questions and they want to reach out to you about something that you've spoken about. Or...
Yeah. I would say I'm most active on LinkedIn. So Alex Liddell on LinkedIn. I think my URL is, the LinkedIn / I am Alex Liddell, because apparently there's another Alex Liddell out there. But you can also go to littlecfoservices.com if you want to take a gander at my website. It's going to be changed in the next month here, but that's two good places to find that. And I'm always open to answering questions if anyone has any ideas or wants an introduction to any of the software providers that I mentioned today.
Okay, that'd be great. Yeah. Okay. Well, you're the guy that I'm always going to ask if I have questions about tech stuff. So you're on it.
I like being a tech geek, and I'm always trialing out something else. So
we need that. We need
that, definitely. Okay. Well, this has been fun, and I appreciate you being here. And I think we're going to call it a day and sign off.
Wait, one thing. We are supposed to have a show scheduled, but it is 2 weeks from today, which is Memorial Day. And so we are going to skip. We're not going to reschedule. We are going to take a brief hiatus. We have a couple kids graduating. We have kids getting out of school. And so we are going to take that brief hiatus to land us into summer where we are ready to rock and roll. So you will see us back in 4 weeks instead of 2, but we just wanted to make sure we made that announcement, and we almost forgot.
Yep, that's right. So we'll be back in the month of June with some really cool topics. And until then, thanks, Alex.
See y'all. Thank you so much, Alex.
All right.
Of course.
And okay, we'll see y'all later. Thanks for joining.
Y'all.
Bye.